Welcome to Road to Redline. My name's Lee. Joining me today and in every episode are my colleagues Joe.
Hello.
And Andy.
Hello.
Boys, we're on our own today, aren't we? No guests or panellists.
Well, we've got a little bit of a what do you call it? A clippet of an interview to share, but it's not live as per normal.
Yeah, I'm still basking in a warm glow from my interview with Pinky Lai last week, which has seemed to go down pretty well so far on my YouTube channel. Can I get a plug in there early doors? Am I allowed?
You should.
Well, as hoping you've seen the video, probably not, but if you have, it's mostly obviously to do with the 996, the car he designed, or what he's most famous for designing, if you like. But as well as designing previously to his time at Porsche, the E36 at BMW.
Oh, didn't he?
He did, yeah, and he also headed up BMW's Z department in the real early days. Again, this was before he kind of switched to Porsche, but yes, designed the 996, and after that, he designed the 987 Cayman, Joe. So the very car you drive.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what he's got to say about that, because I know that bit's coming a bit later on.
Yes, exactly. We at the end of our interview, we had about 10 minutes chatting to Pinky about that, and again, like super interesting. It's just stuff that you don't ordinarily hear, and because kind of Pinky's off the payroll, if you like, at Porsche, he's not stifled by what he should and shouldn't say. Yes, exactly that. Towing the company line, I think they call it, isn't it? He's very happy to talk quite freely and honestly about the Cayman and about how it was a marketing decision. So when it comes back to our...
have you kept the Cayman edit, or have you deleted it? Because I know you obviously your love for them.
No, I have kept it. I've kept it specifically for you, Joe, because I know it's your car. I just thought it'd be really cool for you to hear from the man who designed your car, and yeah, obviously for everybody listening at home as well, just to kind of get a handle on where the company was at that time. I think so. I'd
like to think I'm not the only 987 Cayman owner driver as well in the country. I think there's a few more of us out there that might appreciate it.
Yeah, there's a couple of them, isn't there? To be fair, my brother wants to buy one as well, so I'm sure it's at least two people that will find it interesting.
But, so come on then, going back to the main interview, what were your biggest takeaways then?
I think for me, first and foremost, how nice what Top Man Pinky is, actually. Really happy to chat about things. Again, I've spoken to Michael Mauer before, who is the current head of Porsche Style. So it's essentially Pinky's job today. And again, it's just, you every answer that you're given to a question that you ask as a journalist, it's kind of, again, very toes the company line. It's a bit like a footballer when you listen to them at the end of a post-match interview, and they just say the same stuff regardless of the question that the journalist asks. And it kind of is a little bit like that. I don't want to do Mr. Mauer too much injustice here, but obviously he has a message that he's kind of got to put forward from Porsche. Whereas, as I said, Pinky's a bit more free to chat, and he's really insightful. Very, very happy to chat about just how close the company came to ending in the late 1990s and being sold out by Toyota, or being sold out to Toyota or Mercedes. And in Pinky's own words, the 996 was the company's last bullet. So they had to get that car right. So it is quite significantly down to Pinky and a select few others. And that's the other thing he said, that where Porsche has grown almost exponentially in the 2 decades since.
Oh yeah.
Just even the design team now, that he said that in his day, it was like half a dozen of them. You could fit all in one small meeting room. You all knew each other's name. You knew their wife's name, their kid's name. You knew everything about them. Whereas now it's a 60 strong kind of team effort on it. So things have changed quite substantially. But yes, at the end of the 90s, or the mid 90s, when the 996 was being designed, it was down to him and a select few others really to save the company. Had the company's fate in his own hands, which
Pretty incredible, isn't it?
I wouldn't fancy that, I have to say. So it's regardless, and we know that I'm a personal champion of the 996, but I think for Pinky especially, it's thanks to him that everybody driving a water-cooled 911 today, it's because of Pinky getting it right, and the rest of the Porsche team at the time in getting that car right, because as we know, it sold well. It did outsell the 993 and put some coffers back into the money pot for Porsche to then go off and try the Cayenne, and obviously it ended up at less than 10 years later on, they're in a position to design the Carrera GT, aren't they? So
it's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Massively, yeah. And it's a very very amazing turnaround in actually a very short time, really. So
yeah,
I thought their design process changes were quite amazing in terms of how much they advanced in that period, and where he was sort of saying how he sort of took a very much more electronic digital approach to it, and I thought that was quite interesting.
Definitely, and we all take it for granted now, don't we? And we think we know how a car's designed. It's all on the computer. Well, yeah, two decades ago, which again, it's not too much. It's not too long ago. That wasn't the case, and as we say, a lot of things have happened in a very short time, and I think that hits home the point that those in the industry at the moment, like top automotive bosses, are saying that the car industry generally is going to change more in the next 10 years than it has in the past 100. And, if you offset that against what Pinky was saying and how kind of quickly and exponentially things have evolved in the last 20 years, well, the next 10 years are going to be very exciting and scary.
It was quite interesting how, when he was talking about CAD design and all that sort of thing, it almost seemed that he was the kind of instigator in a lot of that kind of process for Porsche. I don't know do you think he brought that across from BMW when he'd done the E36?
I think so, yeah. He was a bit of a tag team because his boss at Porsche was Harm Lagai, and Harm worked with Pinky at BMW previously.
Right.
And the story goes, although I've not ever managed to speak to Harm Lagai, Pinky says that Harm was approached by Porsche to leave BMW and obviously go to Zuffenhausen. And Harm said, I'll go, but only if I can bring somebody with me. And that person was Pinky. So they obviously had a very close working relationship. And the impression I get from Pinky's has a lot of resolve, very determined individual, and he also had his backing. He had backing from his boss, and really, I mean, that's kind of the perfect ingredients, isn't it, for success, particularly in a creative role, I think, when somebody's given the space to work and to kind of really get creative. And as we said, it's obviously been to the benefit of Porsche as a company, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Massively, hugely changed the whole dial for Porsche, didn't it?
Without a doubt. And yes, as I say, the video, which I am sorry to plug, but it's on the YouTube channel, That 911 Guy. Sorry, gents. Get
it in there.
If people haven't had a listen, I do encourage you to go and have a listen. It's genuinely, it's really, really interesting. But as I say, there is a snippet that I've kept, which is just purely Cayman. So shall we give that a roll and have a listen?
Why not?
Let's do it.
I've got one more question for you, Pinky, if you don't mind. So obviously you've designed the 987 Cayman as well. What's your greatest achievement? Designing the 996 or designing a new Porsche in the Cayman?
Wow, the Cayman is another extraordinary story. Looking back, when I was right in the middle of everything, I was never aware of, the extraordinary situation. Totally it's nothing ordinary in terms of design process compared to my past experience or to other Porsche experience. In the beginning, there's no name for it. It took us a very long until we get that external. It's an external guy who came up with a whole bunch of names. We have to pay him for it, and then we picked the name Cayman, and everybody was happy about it. Until then, there's no number, nothing. It was like, just like the car itself, how we came up. It was not even a car initiated by the project team. It was a project. The Cayman itself is initiated by the marketing team. nobody really care of mentioning it, because normally the project team, they are responsible for initiating new project or new outlook or new prognosis. But it was that at that time, after, I think it was 1 year after we launched the Boxster, it was quite successful. Everybody's buying it. And then, but one day I got a call from marketing that, hey, they need a meeting, and then they need to have some discussion initiated with designer. And then I realized they were worrying already. Hey, what happened to the next year? And then the year after next of the new Boxster at that time. And then I start to understand, yeah, okay, yeah, that is coming. That problem is going to come. It's all about numbers of car you sell year after year. And then if you don't have anything to back it up, or any new facelift or whatever, and the model going to die, unless you start investing in a new replacement. But at that time, it was too early to replace the Boxster. So that was the discussion between studio and marketing. It was pure marketing. But I should not mention any name. But he really came in and then mentioned the problem, and it was although it was very early, because we didn't even have a proper budget for it. It was just an internal discussion, brainstorming a little bit, and then he said that eventually he could generate some budget to do some design exercise. So we started with just some 2D work, photoshopping, combined with a little bit of sketching. Me and my colleagues. It was a very small team, just me and another designer. And we were doing some combination of sketching, photoshopping, and then we were not happy about it until one day I realized, I said, hey, we need to do some 3D instead of just photoshopping and 2D work, because a lot of the element could not be conveyed just by looking at 2D. We need to show 3D. We pick already two favorites from photoshopping.
Yeah.
Of a design proposal, and then I argued that, hey, this is not enough to show the real flavor or character of these two proposals. You need to do some quick 3D modeling. And at that time, it was around about November time, sort of really dark and gray and getting cold. Sort of we were going back and forth, how do we get it? And then I was calling up a few external model maker from Germany and from Italy, and try to gather some information, some backup cost numbers to back up my strategy. My strategy is to build up a couple of see-through model. I was so courageous, because see-through model, full size, we are talking about almost look alike a real car, sort of dummy prototype. But maybe I was lucky, and then I knew a couple of Italian studio or model builder. Then they like my stuff very much. So I called him up before Christmas, a week before Christmas, I remember. I said, look, I need some quick modeling. Or at the end, we ended up talking about a see-through model, and two of them. But I said, hey, I don't have the proper budget to fit you, to pay you. A lot of back and forth and sort of brainstorming how do we get a quick exercise, and then but satisfy the management to show them really anything close to a see-through model. And out of the blue, it said, okay, send us two chassis, or sort of two Boxster body, just carrossery, just a sheet metal body, two body. And then they will do their tricks and send us 3D data, not sketch, not rendering, 3D data. But it just fell on my laps,
Yeah.
I said, hey, 3D data, hey, that is my kind of cup of tea. And so I said, okay, give me a couple of weeks time. So it's like over the Christmas holiday and New Year, and I had two set of data. It's not the body, just the roof, the greenhouse area. So it was, out of the blue, I managed to come up with two set of greenhouse data and then send it down to Turin. After the new year, they start cracking on, building a seafood model. And then me and at that time it was Mr. Market. Market was the head of the R&D. We flown down there to review the model, do some taping and this and that. Oh, he really enjoyed working on it. We flown down there a couple of times in Turin, and then by before Easter holiday, before the Easter weekend, we had the two seafood model sent back to Vizag, and then we set up the show in the wind tunnel. It was top secret; nobody sees it. So we unloaded the model in the wind tunnel, and then we called up all the importer, world importer. They have to put down their code.
Right, yeah.
And that's how we do it. And then at that time, of course, we have our internal show. The CEO at that time, Vida King. Yeah, we all knew, we all picked our favorite. But by the time we finished that show, he walked past me and said, well, on his way out of the studio, he said to me, "Oh, that would be a shame if we killed that. But I need 17% rentability." What? I said, "What are you talking about? 17%?" It's like, wow, And then I start to realize, wow, it's really, really a tough cookie, because normally a coupe is always cheaper than a coupe of a car always came before the cabriolet.
Yeah.
So we are comparing the Cayman to the Boxster. Normally, the coupe should be also cheaper than the cabriolet.
Yeah.
But in our case, the Cayman is more expensive than the Boxster.
Right.
But he was, the CEO was acting, I need 17% rentability. Otherwise, he would kill the program. But at the end, he said, "Oh, it's too beautiful to kill." So I let you guys play the magic with numbers.
Right, really? Yeah, it's a fancy it.
That's how we get the program. So all the financial guy went back to the office and started paying about numbers, and that's how we get the program.
Wow. Okay, and it came born.
All the importer was, putting down numbers, so they also picked the winner. That's where we got today. Wow, what a story! So unusual. The process, how we picked that model, and how we financed the whole model at all. We didn't have a proper budget.
Did when you made that Cayman, did you expect for it to keep going for so many years like it is currently? Did you expect that to be 20 years later?
Oh yeah. Because that is the basic strategy. We cannot just have one single model line for Boxster.
Yeah.
We need always, two models, so that when one model start to get age, and then we always have the second model, overlapping and all this. That's how we do it.
Fascinating. Pinky, thank you very much for your time. And
hey, great talking to you. Yeah.
Likewise, and we'll speak soon, no doubt. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
There we go. That was Pinky anyway.
Yeah, that was good, wasn't it?
It's an awesome interview, isn't it? I mean, what a crazy insight into it was almost an accidental car.
Absolutely. It was marketing called for the car, which is very unusual for Porsche. Porsche, as you know, the full title is engineering. It's an engineering company, isn't it? But the car was called upon by marketing as a necessity and was conceived with no budget.
It's mad.
I'd
love to know what the comparable 911 budget was at the time for the next model. To create one with no budget must have been it's a gift for Porsche, I suppose.
Yeah, massively. And he raises a really good point actually with regards to pricing and how the Cayman is more expensive than the Boxster, but in the realms of the 911, yes, the Cabriolet is more expensive than the coupe, so it's a little bit of a awkward juxtaposition there, shall we say.
But all it was a financial thing, that he had to make it 17% profitable.
Yes.
And that's why it was. Is it still the same now? Is the Cayman still more expensive than the Boxster? I don't know.
It is, yeah.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So this is what I mean. It kind of goes against the grain a little bit, doesn't it?
It does. Because when you think of any other car, it's always the Cabriolet that's the more expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they've established it as as a different car finally, haven't they? I mean, at the beginning, everyone just assumed it was a Boxster with a roof, and then I think people kind of cottoned on that actually it was just a little bit more than that.
Yeah, it's kind of typical Porsche, isn't it? All sorts will be tweaks, like damping, for example, wouldn't it? It's exactly the same from one 911 model to another. It's lots of those finite changes that add up to the bigger picture, isn't it? Yeah, without a doubt. And yes, it's obviously it's been a very successful car. I think the only thing you have to count against that 718 line as it is now is that 4-cylinder engine, which I think Porsche has kind of, by its own admission, has admitted its mistakes, hasn't it? Because the GTS has gone back to a 6-banger. Yeah, I think so.
I'm sure. I don't know who it was. Somebody else was saying that they're going to revert back to a 6-banger all round, and the four pot motor is going to go, or just they're going to save it for the Asian market. I think, did I hear that somewhere?
Yeah, it makes sense. And to be honest, like Carl said, didn't he, on a previous podcast that we had with him, about how 718 models, the early 4-bangers, going forward, they might be quite tricky to sell because it's just kind of that awkward crossover, really, where Porsche tried something else. I remember going to a presentation from somebody from Motorsport and was likening the engine to the that found in the 919 e-hybrid Le Mans car, and I thought we really are kind of clutching at straws here because there's quite a significant diversion, really. But yeah, it is. I think with the GTS 718 going back to a 6-pot, it does make the 4-cylinder engines a little bit awkward, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, definitely.
So maybe it would be just on the very low model.
I think they're going to ditch it altogether. I think it was such a sticking point. I can't remember who it was. Somebody was definitely telling me that it's on its way out, and I think it's going to put some really either difficult to sell or some really cheap 2-litre 4-cylinder cars out there. But it's such a big deal, isn't it? I mean, so many people have got a problem with that engine. It's kind of killed it a little bit.
And actually, I tell you what, if they did, if Porsche did can that engine, that would be a huge backtrack. I mean, I can't really think of another time the company has kind of got something wrong, if you like. There's, of course, when...
There's those headlights, aren't there?
Oh dear, he's sharpening the swords over there. I can hear him. But no, in all seriousness, I can't really think of another time there's been such a significant U-turn. Obviously, there was the PDK gearboxes in the 991 Gen 1 GT3s. And then for the Gen 2 that Porsche said, right, okay, no, it's a manual in a GT3 is allowed after all. So there was a little bit of a backtrack there. But I mean, ditching an engine is far more significant than that, I feel. So
true.
Well, I think that engine would have had a fair bit of development as well. I'm sure it's probably a shoehorn, something else into something else to make it fit with the turbos and stuff. But it's overall, it is still a brand new engine, isn't it? So it's quite a big deal to ditch that off.
Yeah. How does on hearing Pinky's sentiments there, Joe? How does that make you feel as somebody that owns that car now, sort of 15 years on?
Oh, I think it's quite a privilege. I think it's actually, there's an amazing little bit of history. I mean, the Cayman's always been the underdog, hasn't it? I mean, it's always been either it's trying to get away from the sort of hairdresser Boxster stereotype, that side of things, or it's getting compared to the 911 and having to sort of prove itself as its own car because it's not a 911 and the engine's in the wrong place and all the rest of it. So I think it's always been that car that kind of people have got something to say, not necessarily negatively, but something to sort of jibe about and something to have a little dig about. I mean, that's been my regular kind of reception to it anyway. So I think to hear that actually it was conceived from nowhere and turned out to be the success it is, I think is a bit of a miracle in itself, really.
It's almost the start of like niche models, isn't it? It's nichey. It's not a mainstay. Trying to think what else kind of fits into that, but do you know what I mean by that?
Well, I mean, I think if you look at the end of the 996 generation, I mean, all the Carreras, other than the 4S, they were all narrow-bodied, weren't they, for example? the lineup was far more primitive than even the 997, where kind of they started expanding the range. And then, yes, alongside the Boxster, there then came like the tin top version, which obviously is the Cayman's thesis, but obviously evolved from that since. So I think you're right. That is the time where Porsche, and again, it just goes down to the money. And they had more money to kind of chuck into the R&D side of things, and just they could afford to diversify the range.
I think it could have ended up being a bit like a modern 914 almost. Yeah, sort of putting the engine in a different place, and it could have just run for a period of time. But the fact it's run for 2 decades is a whole different kettle of fish, isn't it?
Yeah, massive. Tell you what, how cool are those 914s? Honestly, there's just not enough in this country, are there? You know.
Well, I think they were so unpopular. That's the crazy thing. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that I remember looking at. Well, I say that long ago. Probably was actually probably 15 years ago. But I remember looking at 912s and 914s, and nobody really wanted them. And they were they were just pennies to buy. And there was loads of there was not say loads of them, but there was choice. You had the choice of lots of them at literally no money, and now they're sought after, and unfortunately because they've not been looked after, there's just not enough of them about. But 914 is a cracking little car.
Absolutely,
there was many that could have been saved from a scrapyard back then.
I'm sure. Yeah, how many of them have been lost? Especially the 914-6 with the 6-pot, well, the flat 6 from the 911 in. Absolutely awesome. I remember driving one. It had a 901 gearbox actually with the dogleg first gear.
Yeah.
If you can't find it, grind it. That was my motto for a lot of it. But
when you were trying to find reverse,
I was trying to find first. But honestly, they are so cool, and it's a real shame that we don't see more of them in this country today.
Yeah. Well, there's some around, isn't there? They're not sort of completely extinct over here, but you do see them rarely on the road though.
So what else is going on in the world?
Well, you've been busy, haven't you? You've been swapping engine mounts, I've seen on Instagram.
I have, yeah. Finally got rid of the shocking, I don't know if it's Euro or URO mounts that I had in there. They're like a copy.
You are out.
You are out mount, definitely. Pieces of absolute garbage.
Where does your disdain come from then with those?
Well, my engine was about to drop out the back of my car. Quite a big thing.
That'll do it.
Well, a saggy engine does mean a lower centre of gravity. So
it's true. I've never been happy with them since I fitted them.
Which was?
It was last year
that
I fitted them, and they've always been a little bit sort of noisy. And I've never been happy with the way that all the fittings, the washers and the nuts, the bolts fitted. It was almost looked like they were failing from the beginning. And I noticed it getting worse and worse, and the tailpipe's not sitting correctly. And I took it apart, and one of the mounts had actually almost started popping out through the bottom. I've got a set of Wevos on there now, which I've done a little test run to work and back, and they feel lovely, very controlled, less noise than those other ones. Happy with them.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. Yeah, the URO, I confess I've not heard of those before. Are they? Is that a cheapy little jobby? Is it, or
they're £100 per pair, and they're meant to be RS copies. So but they look the same, but they are nowhere near the same as an OEM part. It's typical that. Buy cheap, buy twice. Buy cheap, buy twice.
And actually, it's amazing, isn't it? The difference in feel of engine mounts.
Oh, huge! I don't know if either of you have played around with engine mounts in the past.
So I think you have, Joe, haven't you?
Replaced a few before, but I don't think haven't swapped one for another to find a difference though.
I've played around with quite a lot on different cars. Most memorable one was a Corrado VR6, and the front engine mount on there, if you changed it over to a solid one rather than the factory rubber, just transformed the car in handling terms. Because when you've got the standard engine mounts there, you've got when you go into a corner, the car sets into the corner, and then you feel the engine move across, and you get that sort of 2-stage setting up in the corner. With that solid mount in there, it totally changes the way the car feels. It just goes, there's one setup, sort of load transfer, and the car just feels totally different handling wise. And that's the same as what the 911 feels like now. It just feels like it's one lump rather than that big lump at the back moving around after the car's settled.
Yeah. And when are you going to buy some Fuchs wheels then, Andy, as well? Because everybody on this podcast has got Fuchs wheels this week now, so it's your turn. It's just you left.
Yeah, so tell us about those. What brought that on, both of you?
I think, I've just been keeping an eye open because I've always thought the ones on the 912 have always been a little bit skinny, or I don't know. I don't know if the wheels are skinny or the arches are too big, but I've got the my unknown arches, which at some point I'll have to try and get to the bottom of. Just they kind of don't really fill them very well, and they look a bit lost in there. So just loosely keep an eye open.
At the moment?
There's Fuchs on there currently. I think they're 5.5s all round.
Okay.
So and these new ones they're replicas, but they've been painted up nicely, and hopefully going to fit 7s on the front and 8s on the back, which should give it a different stance. Probably change the drive a bit.
Yeah, I really hope you can fit them, Joe. And I am hopeful because your arches are flared quite significantly on that 912, aren't they? So there's definitely hope there. But I think if you can get that right, then I think that will look absolutely tremendous. We'll have to put a couple of pictures of them, won't we, on our Instagram page so that people can see them. But really, really cool. Kind of singer style, aren't they? Really.
Yeah, I think that's what someone's done. They've painted them up in the same sort of theme as the singer. So I'm curious as to what they'll look like against the sort of the white of the car, because although the car's off white, these are grey with a silver lip. So I don't know whether it might look a bit bland, possibly. But I don't know. We'll see. I think let's get them on, have a look.
Yeah, definitely excited to see them on, and it goes without saying you won't need any spacers.
Fingers crossed. What about yours then? What have you opted for with yours in the end?
Yeah, I've done the same as you, Joe, and gone for some Fuchs. They're genuine Fuchs wheels that I got from Paragon, who are a dealer for Fuchs in the UK. Black face on them with the chrome lip, but they won't be staying that way. I'll put them on the car for now because I'm too excited to not put them on. But it's kind of answers on a postcard really as to what colour to paint the faces. Really, I'm not too sure. I'm kind of flirting with like a satin bronze, moving towards a kind of satin gold anywhere, kind of in that sort of colour palette. So don't know what you guys think to that. I'm totally up for some help.
Are you thinking the actual the sort of the petal spokes, or are you thinking the whole face?
I think the whole thing, to be honest. Although again, I'm totally open to ideas on it. I think it might look better with the whole thing, just because it's a bit more modern. So the spokes, if you do the whole thing, it's a bit chunkier. I don't know whether just doing the petals will kind of look a bit too delicate. I'm not sure.
I don't know if I've seen those modern ones, or the ones for the 996, 997 ever done with just petal, like the petals done.
Yeah, it's a good point, and I wonder if it's for good reason. This is the thing. I'm really not sure. I'll have to get the Photoshop skills out for that one, I think, to just have a play. I'm really, really not sure. And to be honest, even with the kind of, because it won't be me, it'll be probably my brother or somebody that will Photoshop it for us. But even with the best will in the world, it's not until kind of wheels are done and on the car that you can ever really tell, isn't it? Just in terms of everything, like the stance of the car, the colour, if it works, and everything. So
lighting, angles.
This is it. Absolutely everything. So I'm really not sure, but I will be bunging them on for now anyway, just as they are, because I think they look awesome. Unlike yours though, Joe, because you got centre caps with yours. I didn't get centre caps with mine. It was a bit of a faux pas.
Well, they're quite an expensive item, so I've been told, if you need to go and buy a set.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I mean, again, this is just my naivety on it, but I thought when you bought a set of wheels, you get the centre caps. To me, it's a bit like buying a football shirt and not having like the club crest on there on your replica kit, you know? So, yeah, slightly miffed about that, but apparently I have done some research. It's not that they kind of forgot to drop them in the box. It's that, yeah, it's some extra money. So
I think they're about £200 a go for a pucker set.
Right. Okay. Well, I was just about to say, before I come across as completely tight, I was about to say I've looked into just like not running the centre caps, so a little bit outlaw style, and then getting the stud conversion. I've seen Redline do a kit because I quite like the look of that.
I don't know if is that a bit of a conflicting theme if you're going Fuchs wheels with the stud conversion and no centre caps, or is that?
Possibly, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm very up for just trying it, and to be honest, if it doesn't look good, I'll just take them off, and somebody will have them on eBay, won't they? You know. But yeah, we'll see how we go. But it was just funny how, by complete coincidence, wasn't it? On our little WhatsApp group, put up the picture of these Fuchs wheels, and Joe, you come along, didn't you? And was like, well, I'll raise you some Fuchs for some other deep dish Fuchs wheels. So it's been quite a funny week for wheels, really, in this group.
So what's the timelines for getting them on both of your cars then?
Oh, Joe, you'll have them on tomorrow, won't you?
Well, I need to go find some rubber first. I don't know if I need to find some rubber that fits, and then find someone to put the rubber on the wheels. So yeah, possibly, but I don't know if that's an essential activity currently. I don't know. I have to see who's open and willing.
Oh, I'd argue that's essential. How can you get your shopping if you can't go anywhere? You know.
I do know somebody that's working actually tyre fitting wise, so I'll give you that number.
Okay, all right, that'll work.
Yeah, tops. I have seen a tyre garage open. I know what you mean. It's a bit different, isn't it, from like a company van or some sort of like frontline worker. And then you've got Joe rocking up in his 912 saying, "Can I have 4 new corners, please?" So yeah, but that's fair play. If you can get them on, that'd be great. It'd be awesome for that first post-lockdown drive.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, likewise. What about yours then? Are you going to get some rubber ordered up and get them on, or are you? Is it on the back burner?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm just going to take the tyres that are currently on the GT3 BBS wheels, take them off, and put them on the Fuchs wheels. They're the same size wheels, so it should just be a like-for-like swap. Use the same bolts for now.
You get yours done tomorrow then?
Ones. Yeah, I'm hoping so, to be honest. I really am.
Yeah, so Lee, what's the deal with the when they say Fuchs? Obviously, it's Fuchs with an S. Is that like a posh sort of replica reproduction company, or have they got actual links to the original real deal, or do you know much about them? Background?
Vaguely. Apologise if I get any of this wrong for people listening in, but my understanding of it is like Fuchs as the company, Otto Fuchs, his wheel design was chosen by Porsche. I believe it might have been the 911R of 1967 or the 911S of 1966. That was the first wheel that Porsche decided to roll with as a lightweight alloy wheel rather than the steel ones they had for the early 2-litre cars. And yes, the 911 has been synonymous, hasn't it, with Fuchs wheels in the decades since. Latterly, I don't know what happened, whether just some sort of contract or agreement has ended or whether there's kind of a falling out or something along those sort of sinister lines. I don't know. But for the 991, there was no Fuchs wheels. The Fuchs wheels on the Sport Classic, the 997, they are Fuchs wheels, genuine Fuchs wheels. Mm-hmm. However, from the switch over to 991, Porsche used a 5-leaf design that was in homage, if you like, to the Fuchs wheel on the 50th anniversary car. Yep. The 991 anniversary, but they aren't Fuchs wheels. They are Porsche wheels, again, kind of made in the spirit of Fuchs wheels. So
they're interesting, actually, because we were talking about yours and doing the petals a different colour to the rest of the face.
Yeah,
they do have the petals a different colour, don't they?
They do, yeah. I mean, they are a slightly different design. They've that wheel option was also kind of an optional extra as well. I've seen that on a few turbo wheels, but again, without like the actual faces painted. It's just like a black wheel with a silver lip. But yeah, for modern day, yeah, they're not Fuchs wheels, unfortunately. So I have the wheels I've bought are from the company Fuchs wheels, so that they are genuine Fuchs. But yeah, at some point in the last sort of 7-8 years, Porsche and Fuchs wheels have kind of gone their separate ways, really, which is a shame. But I don't know what you guys think. Does a Fuchs wheel suit a modern car? I don't know. I thought they looked lovely on the Sport Classic.
Yeah, I think certain cars with certain themes, I think they work. A bit like, your 996, where you've kind of gone with a retro kind of theme to the whole thing. I think it fits. But I think, if you just go, out of the box, modern, metallic kind of, modern coloured, modern shapes, do they fit? I not so much so, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think it's where the lines have come, even though the 911 in comparison to its kind of contemporary rivals, the design is more subtle. If you compare the modern 911 to older ones, then there is kind of a bit more of aggression in the lines of the car, isn't it? And it kind of goes against the Fuchs design, which is a little bit more honest, shall we say. But Joe, there was something actually I wanted to ask about your car. Ooh. Do you have rear seats in the back of your 912?
I do indeed, and they get used regularly.
Right, okay. And what about you, Andy?
Yeah, I've got rear seats.
Okay, yeah, interesting, because...
Why are you toying with taking yours out?
Well, I was, but I kind of only fleetingly, and then I just kind of thought it's a bit of a kind of perennial debate, isn't it, really, as to like how useful those seats are, because the reality is it's just small people that can get in there. I mean, Joe, your boy Charlie obviously uses them, doesn't it? But like you'll never in a month of Sundays get a grown adult in the back without some broken bones, will you? Surely.
I reckon if it's if you're hard pushed and you had to run down to the shops or something, you could fill the car with adults. It's doable.
Do you think? Yeah. Okay. What about you, Andy? Like, have you like legitimately like had passengers in the back of your 993?
Only small ones. I think.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, for me, like the only. Go on.
It's there, isn't it? It's kind of I don't know. There's not much weight. It's not.
Well, and that is the point, isn't it? That is exactly the point. If you're going to take them out, well, the weight saving is minimal, and I would argue for like the one time a month that you actually need them. I actually find them most useful when they're folded down. I don't know about you guys, and you can actually use them as like an extended shelf. I've had all sorts on there, like TVs, wheels, a couple of tires. Like the shopping. It's as an extended shelf, then using the actual seat bases as kind of cubby holes. Find that arrangement perfect, especially for touring as well, if the front is full. So yeah, like you say, Andy, by the time you've taken the seats out, the weight saving's minimal, and actually you're also robbing yourself of a little bit of practicality when needed, isn't it? But
yeah, I don't know. It's kind of
I know a lot of people get very opinionated about the back seats and whether you should keep them or not. I don't know. I just think it's a bit extreme just to remove them for the sake of removing them when it's they're not harming anyone where they are.
Yeah, I think so. Especially, I can't remember a GTS or GT3 touring. It's optional to have them or to not. Can't remember one it is now. Being on the spot,
I think GTSs all come with them as I've not seen a rear seat delete as an option on GTS. I know obviously the touring was lots of people got rid of them on the touring, didn't they? Yeah,
I think it was they came without, but you could option them back in at no cost. Yeah. I think. But Kyle Fortune, a journalist who scribes for Total 911, he's in favour of rear seats in the touring, and I've seen people before have said, like, "Are you mad?" But actually, it's not as mad as it seems, because as we say, for the weight saving in a car that has touring in its name, it's quite sensible actually.
Just adds a bit of practicality, doesn't it?
But this is it, yeah. But then some people just really kind of look down on the whole rear seats in a 911 thing, but then they're kind of the whole thing of 2+2 coupe. That's what makes the 911 a 911, isn't it? Surely.
Well, you might as well go buy a Cayman if you don't want the rear seat, surely.
Well, this is it. And by the time the 911 goes electric, it's the only thing that defines the 911 is going to be the kind of pointless seats in the back, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that.
They always look a bit unfinished without when they've got the RS carpets and stuff in the back.
Yeah.
They never look that finished. Though I have seen, do you know Players J? So
Yeah.
Big Shake. He's got a 964, and he's just had the rear seats taken out of his, and he's had some really nice looking trim work put in the back. It's really kind of sharp the way it's done, and it looks nice. That's probably the first one I've seen in a while that looks kind of really, sharp. Looks good, where others just a little bit baggy.
Yeah, but then it's the same, like particularly with like the air-cooled cars, like even the carpeting in the front boot compartment. I always think looks like a bit of an afterthought. I don't know what you boys think as owners.
Yeah, I want to.
Yeah, I think it is. It was an afterthought, I think.
Yeah, it just looks like there's off-cut of material, isn't it, chucked in the front,
just hanging around. Yeah, it's not the best feature of most air-cooled cars. The front trunk.
Yeah. I think the earlier you go, the sort of smaller that bit of carpet gets as well. I think mine's trimmed within about 3 inches of where it's meant to be, and I think as the cars get later, they probably put a slightly more care and attention into it. But yeah, mine's literally an old bit of carpet thrown in there, I think.
Well, boys, what else have we got coming up then for future episodes? We've got lots planned, haven't we? Are we going to care to divulge any of this, or should we just keep making it up as we go along?
Let's keep making it up. We've got a good list of people that have either approached us or we've approached that want to come on.
Yeah, there's been some good readers' rides as well.
Yes, really good. Yeah, great. I need to do some more actually.
I think we've got a fellow 912 up and coming, which I'm always good to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, what colour is that as well?
Green.
It's green, yeah, okay, yeah. I'm not sure on the exact name, but no, it's very cool, and we want to say
when we get that on Instagram, it's that's actually its original colour as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it is.
That. Cool, that's nice.
It is. It's amazing.
It is golden green is the colour.
Golden green, very good, very good. No, it is. It's absolutely beautiful. That, so we'll look forward to featuring that on our Instagram page shortly. And yes, if you'd like your car featured on the Road to Redline Instagram page, please do get in contact with us via direct message and let us know what you drive. It's not because we're snobs and we want to have certain cars on there. We just want to know a little bit about you so we can put your story on there as well. Everybody's got a story to tell in this kind of world of Porsche car culture. So to be honest, from our point of view, the more stories we can put on there, the better, isn't it? So
I'd say what we need. We need some Caymans on there.
Yes, we do. I think in honour of our interview with Pinky Lai this episode and the fact that, Joe, you've got one, so we have a Cayman on the team, let's have some Cayman stories. No gritted teeth there at all.
One day, I reckon you'll be a convert. I reckon you'll never admit it. But you'll have a secret one parked in the garage and you won't tell anyone.
Hopefully.
It's flash car, what we're saying.
Right. Nice one, fellas. Off to Auto Trader I go then, hey?
So from Andy, Lee and myself, that wraps up another episode of Road to Redline. Keep an eye on our Instagram and your podcast app for our new up-and-coming interviews that we've got planned.